Walter here from Media Mics at Grantville, Pennsylvania at the Hollywood Casino with the founder, musical director, and lead guitarist of Brit Floyd, Damian Darlington.
Hi.
Damian, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. We really appreciate it.
It's no problem. It's a pleasure.
Listen, I know you're busy getting ready for the show here, so let's get right into it. Okay, we've got some questions that came from some of our viewers, and some of us have some questions as well. So, what was the first Pink Floyd album or song that locked you in for life?
It was the Wall album. I vaguely sort of remember the Another Brick in the Wall being a single in the end of 1979. But I was a little bit young to get into music. But a couple of years later, a friend of mine had a copy of the Wall album. That was my introduction into Pink Floyd. And from that point onwards, I was hooked.
You were hooked for then on. Okay. After being the musical director of the Australian Pink Floyd, before forming Brit Floyd, how do you perceive coming from that to Brit Floyd? What's the difference?
I perceive it as a step upwards. I definitely, that was my intention. You know, it's not that there was anything bad about doing the Australian Pink Floyd show, but I just thought I could do it an even better job of recreating Pink Floyd's music in their shows and work with some different musicians to do so.
Okay, great. What type of relationship, if any, do you still have with the members of Pink Floyd?
I have met all the way right back in 1994. I originally met David Gilmour, and then he came to a show I was playing in London, sort of appeared surprisingly backstage. No knowledge that he was there. And then I got invited to go to the End of World Tour party at Earl's Court in London, because Pink Floyd were finishing up their Division Bell tour at that point, so I got to go along to that. It was amazing. There were over 1,000 people there, and then 2 years later got an invite to play his 50th birthday party, and on that occasion I got to play on stage with Rick Wright as well, playing Comfortably Numb. So
how was that?
That was amazing. It was very special. It doesn't really get any better than I did.
It's too bad we heard of the passing. I saw the YouTube video of his last show with Gilmour and some others.
I think it was a Sid Barrett commemoration gig of some description.
Yeah. What's your favorite song you enjoy performing most, and why?
It doesn't really get much better than playing Comfortably Numb night after night. I get to sing the Gilmour vocals, and it's a beautiful melody to sing, but also I get to do that epic guitar solo at the end every night, and one of the finest rock guitar solos of all time, I would say. So it's got everything in there for me as a song to perform.
Is there a particular song you don't necessarily care about performing?
There's none of them that I really don't like performing. You have some favourites. I think it's easier for me to say which are my favourites. I suppose as a singer, I really enjoy singing Us and Them. It's a lot of fun to play some of the epic tunes like Echoes or Dogs off the Animals album. They're a challenge. You get a sense of satisfaction playing such a big piece of music.
It is. Are there any songs that you have not covered that you'd like to do?
There are a few. There are a few left. I mean, we are getting to the point where we have played probably about 2/3, 3/4 of Pink Floyd's catalogue. But obviously, when it goes to the very earliest stuff, there are some you probably would never do.
They did a lot of songs.
Yeah. There's a number of tracks off the final cut as well we've never played, but pretty much every other album we've done most of it. But there are a few old tracks I'd like to do. Interstellar Overdrive, for example, is one we've never done, which I'd quite like to cover at some point.
Okay. In your free time, do you listen to Pink Floyd music, or do you listen to other things?
I certainly listen to plenty of other things, but even though I've been playing Pink Floyd music professionally for 30 years, it may amaze people to find out that I still actually can listen to it and enjoy it, and not just simply to analyse it because of what I do.
Yeah, that's great. I was telling Jeff that 1973, when the album came out that you're commemorating, that was my first introduction to Pink Floyd, and I didn't know anything about them before that, and all of a sudden, where did they come from? It's a fantastic group. Been following them ever since. So the 2023 tour celebrates the 50th anniversary of The Dark Side of the Moon. Why do you feel that that album and that music continues to resonate with so many people? Many people weren't even born, let alone had heard the music. And all of a sudden now you're going to fill this arena up tonight probably with young people, people who are not necessarily attuned to that type of music, but love it.
I mean, for whatever reason, Pink Floyd are one of those bands from that era that seem to have stayed relevant. You know, what they had to say lyrically in their songs still chimes today. The music seems to be timeless compared with, say, some other bands. So, yeah, it's making new fans all the time, and you do indeed see teenagers coming to our shows, or coming with their families, and multi-generation is coming to the show as well, of course, as the people who were around when these albums first came out, who still want the chance to see it and experience it live.
Besides Dark Side of the Moon, what else can the fans expect from you on this tour?
We always try to represent as much of Pink Floyd's catalogue as we can, within the confines of a 2.5-hour set list. So they will certainly hear tracks from The Wall, from Wish You Were Here, from Animals, Final Cut, Division Bell, Momentary Lapse of Reason, Medal, and some Syd Barrett tunes as well. So it really is a comprehensive journey through Pink Floyd's music.
How long did it take you to master Comfortably Numb? The guitar solo.
He's
laughing because he's working on it.
I mean, I've been playing that, trying to play that solo certainly in the early days, since I was about 14 years old. So it's even when I started playing Pink Floyd music professionally at about the age of 25. So I already was familiar with quite a lot of Pink Floyd's catalogue and a lot of David Gilmour's solos by that point. So it's. I should hope I've mastered it by now sufficiently well.
I think so. Your shows are such a full experience. You've tried to encapsulate all the things that Pink Floyd did and the various aspects of Pink Floyd. How much of an effort is to put that all together? It's a big. These insects. it's a big undertaking to put on a Pink Floyd show, because there's so many ingredients there. It's not just about the music; it's about the lights, the video, the lasers, the inflatables. When you have them, we haven't got one today, but he'll be making the reappearance later on in our tour. The pig will be, and it's getting all those moving parts working together in synchronisation. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's been a process of evolution. I've been doing this for 30 years almost in total, and 12 years with Brit Floyd specifically. So, I've learned throughout those years how to do this grind, how to put on a Pink Floyd show. So, as I say, it's not just about the music, it's about all of those ingredients coming together successfully. It's a multimedia experience. What's the one question that you wish someone would have asked you but never did?
I'm not sure. I'm not. I suppose there's some. Although I love playing Pink Floyd music, and I have, it's been part of my life. I do play other kinds of music, so I suppose it's nice to sort of occasionally get the chance to talk about something other than Pink Floyd, musically speaking. So, so I don't often get asked about that side of music.
What other type of music do you play?
I do play a lot of acoustic music when I'm not doing this. I've always been a fan of guitarists who you wouldn't necessarily expect somebody who plays David Gilmour to be a fan of, like Al Di Meola and John McLaughlin and Pat Metheny and people like that. So I've always tried to play that kind of music alongside playing Pink Floyd as well.
That's great. That's great. One more question for you. What's in store for Brit Floyd in the future?
Onwards and upwards. We have big plans. We'll be doing our biggest tour to date next year. Certainly, we're planning on doing 250 shows next year. We'll be going back to Europe to do a lot of shows there, and we're looking at places like Japan and South America. So, we really are sort of going for it in a big way.
That sounds great. Listen, I want to thank you very much, Dan, for taking the time to talk with us. And I know you're busy, and I really appreciate that.
It's been my pleasure.
Thank you so much.